Thank you so much, Sabah. This has been great. We're starting now, right?
Yeah.
I haven't done like a Zoom call situation since the first lockdown. First lockdown, I went all guns blazing, but then now I've like calmed down to like more offline things. But this is interesting. This is also the first time where I'm not really in conversation with somebody. Instead, I'm like doing a speech, which is interesting also. I'm really glad that Plum sort of reached out and wanted to talk about celebrating our differences, which I think um, is something that I'm all about. My life, my career, all of that has been about. It's been very different as compared to a lot of other people. Majority of my friends usually, and all of that. I come from a very very small part in Kerala. This is not something that I thought I would get into at any point. The fact that I can sit here and share my story today is very, very interesting. Seems super cool. Should we get into this now? It's a this is not a serious presentation at all. Once in a while we can get a little serious. That's fine. But like otherwise, like this presentation right now is, we'll keep it very colorful and chill and like fun. Okay. So first, I want to talk to you. I really like, I went very cool and I pressed the arrow. It did not move. Sabah, this doesn't move though. Okay, it moved. Yes. Okay. So I really want to talk about, I grew up in Kerala, in Trivandrum, which is not the small part of Kerala that I was talking about. I come from like this really small part. We moved to Trivandrum. And so mine is a very conservative Catholic family. My dad and mom, they work in engineering and medicine both, very academically oriented. And like usually, I think it's a lot more in Kerala because it's very academically oriented and like literacy state and all of that. So they usually say either become an engineer or a doctor. I think I was very like different from the get-go. I wanted to do all things like creative and entertainment and all of that. And I remember there were so many like instances where you were sort of not allowed to do what you wanted, especially because first of all, everything sort of coming down to academics and like make sure that you follow like a certain path. And I'm also the oldest one in the family. That comes with like a lot of pressure because you're supposed to be like the perfect one, lead as an example to the younger ones below you, right? So the moment I started to decide that I didn't want to do engineering, only it was a big problem. So coming out was not an option while I was staying there. I remember the reason why I like growing up in a conservative Christian family in Kerala is because going to church every Sunday was like a big deal in the house. And see, any religion that we are from, I think we can sort of relate to going to a temple or a mosque or a church and like sort of reading religious texts and sort of being forced to follow that blindly. And we would have these like camps, sort of, so to say, like during summer vacations. And we had to go to this place with all our friends from church. And there would be these priests who would teach us things from the Bible and like things that they believed we should preach and practice. And constantly, I think from when I was really young, I would constantly hear that, homosexuality is a sin and you shouldn't lay with a man. And I knew I was gay from when I was really small. A lot of people figure out at different points in life. They probably figured out as a teenager. I think I knew from when I was like 6 or 7 or 8. I was very, very, obviously it wasn't very clear. I didn't know what it meant or whatever. But then I kind of knew, I knew what I was into. So when I heard stuff like this, it really like, it sort of gets to a space where, oh, like everyone that I know and everyone that I'm around is against this. Sometimes they're not against it secretly, but usually like, when you talk about it, you're very like vehemently against it, which basically puts you in a position where you completely try to hide that side of you. And this is such a big problem in India, especially because we have a system where we don't talk about sex, right? Which is an irony for a country that's based on bloody Kama Sutra. And we have like temples all over the country with drag queens and gay sex and like all of that. But like we don't talk about it at all. So the biggest problem in India is you see so many like married people that are gay, which is horrifying in so many levels. And this is how I want to get into internalized homophobia, because through your sort of whole life, you try to stay away from being called gay because you're sort of told that it's a sin and it's not something that the society would accept, and you would be made fun of, and life would be difficult for you, and the whole family will ostracize you, the society will ostracize you. So you will basically put that part of you fully away. You will never get into it, except for a few moments, probably when you're a teenager or something like that, and you're made fun of. And also, you growing up, you walk a certain way, you talk a certain way, your peers make fun of you, you're bullied, so you completely repress that side of you to a point where you sort of get into this space where you would do anything and everything to repress that side, which basically means you wouldn't associate with someone who's openly gay, you wouldn't be friends with them, you wouldn't associate with them, you wouldn't connect with them. In fact, you would go above and beyond to talk shit about them, to make you look like a straight man, even though internally very well. This gets into a point where people grow up like this. People get into a situation where they get married and have kids, but considering this is not your sexuality or your sexual wiring, you wouldn't want to engage in intercourse with your spouse, right? Because that's not fun for you. It's not pleasure for you. You're not enjoying it. That one leads to you having mental issues because you're in a situation where you're constantly in the middle of these societal barriers. Your spouse is not having fun because she's gonna feel insecure. She's gonna feel like she's lacking something, which is probably why the husband is not interested in you. She will be fully like underconfident. There'll be self-esteem issues. You're destroying the other person's life. Along with that, you're also like destroying yours. This comes from a point where the whole society is sort of telling you, don't be open about this. Even if you have these tendencies, it'll go away. Even if you did something like that, it's fine. It's like a stupid thing that you did as a child and it'll go away. So taking that step of coming out and being open about it is a very difficult task for a lot of people, especially in India, because I think we get into a space where when we're younger, and I think kudos to, like, I'm a millennial, but then kudos to Gen Z, because I think there's a lot more knowledge there with like social media, and I think to their parents as well, because I think with social media and the internet and like the content that we've been viewing on like several OTT platforms, I think we've gotten to a space where people are understanding. I remember, I think it was like like an open secret of sorts, and I remember sort of being very ready to be very emotional and dramatic. And I told them, "Have you seen this particular show on Netflix? And this character who's gay." And they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I'm like that." And they were like, "Okay." And they are 2000 born. They're very young. They're 22 now. And they didn't care. And that really upset me because I was ready to cry to me. You have ruined this for me. But I think that's very cool. We're slowly getting into a point where with the newer generation, the next generation, this is not even a conversation. I mean, so what if you're gay? It's never like a big consideration. But I want to get to like other parts, which is something that I've been dealing with very recently, because once I sort of came out of my family, I sort of realized that now I don't give a shit about anybody, because people that I care about already know. And now that that's there, I can be whoever I want. I can be.
Renil, your internet is lagging a slight bit. Could we just take maybe a minute or 2 minutes of a break and see if we
What I
can?
want on like my day-to-day life. So I don't think people need it that much. Sorry.
Your internet is lagging the slightest bit. Maybe we can
you
take
hear?
a minute's break. Yeah, I can hear it, but there's a slight lag.
Sure. Okay. For sure.
Could you just check? I think it's fine now. Okay, we can start again.
I can hear you properly. There's no lag from your end.
But maybe
Okay.
Renil, can we switch to maybe hotspot or something?
I'm on hotspot actually, because my Wi-Fi messed up a little.
Now it seems clear. Now we can continue.
Seems fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I mean, I was saying that I don't think like right now we do this very intentionally, but I think there is so much like muscle memory that we have when it comes to what a boy and a girl is supposed to do. That from when and I think it's as simple as like pink is for girls and blue is for boys, right? And I think we do, and like, like all these gender reveal parties that we see, or like the moment like you have like a girl child, you automatically like gift her things that you think she will like playing with or whatever. Uh, but that sort of reinstates a lot of things. And I'm not saying that it's bad, if a girl wants to play with a bar, go all for it, and the guy wants to play with a truck, all good. But then I think it's small things like that where you start to a point where this is what you should stick to, because this is what we believe in and this is what we have heard. And like an example is my parents, right? And I think my dad is supremely chill, but all he knew is the way to bring up kids based on how their parents brought them up. And that sort of puts you in a situation where they're like, okay, we grew up fine, so this seems like the right thing to do. And I'm not blaming them completely, but it's a situation where we have to sort of work towards accepting people. I understand that you have, like all of us, by experience and by viewing stuff, we have ideas of what we should do. But I think the basis of all of it when it comes to societal gender norms and all of that is just acceptance. Unless there is a serial killer out there who's harming you, who's coming at you with a knife, there is nothing, and other things that could harm you. There is nothing nobody is doing that will affect your life. If you see someone on the road, a guy who's wearing a skirt or like full-blown eyeshadow or a drag makeup, or a girl in like very manly clothes, they are not affecting your life at all. It's not affecting mine, it's not affecting yours, nobody's, let them do. There is, you're not going to get anything out of, going on someone's Instagram and like ranting about how people are putting out a propaganda. Like I read this comment which I thought was hilarious, that said, being gay is a political agenda because all rich people are gay. It was hilarious, but then like, if it is a political propaganda, I would like to be behind it, considering they think everyone who's gay is rich. Having to hide a big side of me, I think I told you, I remember when I was growing up also, I really loved makeup. I have two younger sisters who are twins, who are girls. And I remember buying a bunch of makeup, although I wanted to try it. I used to do it on them because I don't think trying it on me was very acceptable. And my mother would have taken a chappal and thrown it at me if I would have done it at that point in time. But I've done like a couple of things where I would like drape a dupatta into a sari on me, and my mother would be half fascinated but half irritated. She would allow it like once in a while where she's like probably fed up of telling me what not to do. But after that, she'd be like, okay, once in a while or whatever. But then I don't think it was ever appreciated. I don't think it was ever looked up at. I think it was very frowned upon. Especially, I think sort of like I was very creatively inclined as a child. So I did like plays and drama and like theater, and like I used to MC. I used to be the host of all of those things. And I remember this, and see, like I need people to understand that when you say things to someone who's growing, like right now, if you say something to me that's mean, I'm not saying you, but anybody, if they say something that's mean, I wouldn't give like anything. It wouldn't matter to me. I wouldn't care. But that's because I'm 27 years old and I've had the experience in my life to sort of censor out things that I don't need. But when children are growing up, when people are in their teenage and stuff like that, these are very, very impressionable ages when something that you would say will stick, and that will sort of get into a point where they will decide what they should do and shouldn't do based on like things that other people are saying around them. I was told once by a family friend when all I did was said something on a mic and walked from one side of the stage to the other. And I remember I was very confident because I knew I did a good job. And he came out and was like, "Why do you walk like that?" And that, like, my self-esteem and my confidence just went rock bottom that day, because he was like, what he meant was, "You walk like a girl." He didn't like, I knew exactly what he meant. And I was like, oh shit. Like, since then, I think even today, sometimes when I walk, it comes back to my head because like, I knew what he meant. And I was like, okay, maybe like walking like this is the wrong thing to do. I don't care. But like these are things that when you talk to somebody, sometimes you don't mean to, sometimes you feel like you're doing the best for them, but like just like take things in with love and acceptance. Like a person walking a certain way doesn't change anything. Let them walk. It's fine. Unless they're falling down, you go help. It's fine. Otherwise, something very cool, not cool, disturbing that I've sort of faced is also casual homophobia in everyday life. And you would really think that after coming to Bombay and like, being in a city like this, and honestly speaking, which is why it alarms me. Obviously, across the country and outside, casual homophobia is a very big thing, especially in rural parts of India. It's like, and it's not even like casual homophobia. I think rural parts of India, it becomes very, very stressful. But then in an urban city like Bombay, you feel like in 6.5 years of me being here now, there are very small instances where I have seen homophobia, and like in Bombay, when I see it, it shocks me all the more because I'm like, you're supposed to be chill, like you live in Bombay. I remember when I sort of found my love for makeup back and like started wearing it. And I took it in stages. First, I did it on my show, and people thought like, okay, he's doing it on the show because it's good for the show, whatever. Then I slowly started wearing it outside, and I remember, and I started posting it on social media. It was, and the first time I got a lot of love. Then slowly the haters came back and all of that. But I remember one of the times I went out in like in a look. I think I was in a shoot, and I just went out in that. And I remember somebody like, oh, so this is like a thing now for you. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, so like you do this like in normal life also. And I was like, do what? And he was like wear like things like this. And I was like, I do not know what this means. So like and this I think is a very, very small thing that I faced. This is not the same for a lot of people around the world. It is very scary. Homophobia can be very fatal, very brutal. It can take forms of like people killing other people. There are mass shootings that have happened. Homophobia is a very, very, very big situation. I think in a lot of ways, we are very protected and privileged, and we sit and we come from like urban cities and stuff like that, where we have information and education and literacy. But in a lot of places that are very religiously charged and very emotionally charged, and not in a well-informed way, it can lead to a lot of like life-threatening problems. And like people have like through history, so many people have died because, and like it's not like until a few years ago, it was illegal for me to like exist as a sexual being, So I mean, I've done a few illegal things in my life, but that's okay. Now it's not. Now it's legal. It's fine. And see, while saying this, something that I really want to say, want to talk about is when should you come in? When should you decide to come out in India? Even though I come from a very privileged family, I don't think I could have come out when I was still living under their roof. And I think this is something very important for young kids to understand because, see, a lot of the times people DM me and say that, oh, I saw this and I'm so happy that you're doing this and blah, blah, blah. Is it okay if we come out? And what are the repercussions of coming out? And what are the consequences and stuff like that? We live in a country where we are used to living with our parents, right? Like people usually continue staying there. We have that roof over our head. A lot of people don't think about moving into a different house and being independent and all of that. Being gay is a very scary thing. Being a part of the LGBTQ community, being different is a very, very scary thing when you are living under somebody's roof and those people are taking care of you financially. This is the biggest struggle because if they decide to, and sometimes we don't know how people will react, okay? We might feel like these are people that are the closest to us and we know them. And it's the best thing when they accept it. It's the best thing when they, give you a hug and say, we're proud of you no matter what. But sometimes they can go to those extremes where they feel like you're no matter what part of our family. In a situation like that, you should be able to take care of yourself. You shouldn't be thrown to the streets and be made to fend for yourself. So I really believe that in India, the safest way to do this, and this could be a very personal advice, always take it with a pinch of salt. Do whatever you feel like doing at that point in time and whatever you feel is right. But I think the safest way to do this is to be independent at that point in time. I did it after moving, several years after moving to Bombay, when I knew that I was completely independent. I can pay for myself. I can take care of my own. And even when I remember I sent that message to them, I said, take your time. I know this is new for you. So watch stuff, read stuff, educate yourself. But I think being able to say that as a luxury, because I'm independent, I take care of my own life. But I'm not in a situation where, I'm like 18 years old, and if they throw me out of the family, I would have nothing to do. I wouldn't know what to do with my life. So I really hope that nobody's in that position. So just if you can, if you have the luxury of sort of being independent and getting to a place where you're independent, then do that then. I think it's a lot more safer, a lot more practical. Like nobody should be able to hurt you. Nobody should be able to do anything bad when you're in that place. That's what I believe. Okay, this is very personal to me because I get a lot of shit for this. Because again, like I'm apparently promoting some propaganda, which is my friend is just messaging me saying I should take off my glasses. Let's just look. See, if I take off my glasses, I can't read what's on this. My power is -3.5. Thank you. So this is very close to me because I recently sort of discovered my love for makeup back. This is something that I fully lost through my childhood and my teenage years because I was constantly told that I should guys shouldn't play with makeup, or you shouldn't do makeup on other people. You shouldn't want to dress a certain way. You should dress very manly and according to all our societal norms that we believe in fully, But recently, over the last couple of years, I sort of found my love for makeup again. And it was the most liberating feeling in the world. I remember when I did this, it took me some time because we still live in a society where, see, it's very different when I say this because I really believe that I come from a lot of privilege when I live in Bombay. It's a very different world. It's very urban. A lot of people are very accepting because Bombay is like a pool of culture from all over the world, right? And all over the country. So it's very accepting of everybody because everybody is sort of hustling and everybody is trying to make it. So hate sort of takes a backseat usually. So people are more accepting than usual. But the larger part of the society, which is not very urban in India, doesn't really understand it. I think probably because it's too complicated for people to even get into. But then when you don't understand something, that doesn't mean you should immediately put hate and associate that with hate. It's fine. It's fine. Like I said, it's literally just acceptance and love, or indifference. I think that's the key for a lot of people who don't understand it. Just don't care. I'm not coming at you and being like, love me. It's fine. I have, all of us have. There's so much love in life. So unless, I always say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. It's fine. Just stop there. On Instagram, if you see something, or on social media, or on the internet, skip it. Nobody is saying you must. I mean, there are people who will say you must watch it. Don't watch it. There is no gun to your head. There is no knife to your stomach. Nobody is forcing you to watch this or listen to this. So don't. Just that's the only thing. So when I decided to wear makeup, I have to say that a lot of people think that guys doing makeup is a lot. Now, for example, today I'm not sitting with my eyes and lips all done. Now that's a different expression. But people really think that guys don't wear makeup. But then we're also a country that idolizes some of the biggest Bollywood actors, right? And I mean, you are stupid if you think that these people don't wear makeup. If you can idolize everything that they do, you can also be okay with the fact that they wear makeup. I mean, I do interviews with these people, on a daily basis, and there is a touch up every 5 minutes. It's not like natural beauty of Fair and Lovely that's exuding through the skin. There's a lot of makeup and contouring and nude lipsticks and subtle eyeshadow, all of that goes into making them looking that way. And so if you can idolize them for everything else that they do, there is no problem in a peer of yours who's a guy who wants to try makeup. It's done by your Ranveer Singh and your Varun Dhawan and your Shah Rukh Khan and your Salman, all of them. So it's not a big deal. How do we express our true self? And even like, I think when I was talking about it, I realized that it was so difficult for me also, and that has a lot to do with my upbringing, where I internalized homophobia a little bit because I was told to never do stuff that will out you. Always keep it a secret. This is a face, all of that. So when I finally found my love for makeup again, I remember the first time I did that properly was an episode where I had a drag queen called Sushant Divgikar, who's a big part of the community in India. So I called him to be a part of my show, and I said, not that I want to do it, but I think since he's coming, I think I should do a little bit in solidarity with him. And it turned out to be a situation where we were also shooting the promo for season 2 at that point in time. And there was no time. I think it was in the middle of a lockdown and all of that, the second lockdown. And we just had to shoot that promo in that outfit at that point in time. And the way the promo came out, it just looked like I was coming out an elevator. And that looked like I was coming out to the world. It was not intentional, but I think the edit was. And I was very scared of putting it out because I knew exactly what it looked like. But I was like, I think it looks very strong. And the whole network was like, it looks very, very strong. You should put it out. And I posted and I was so nervous. It took all of me to convince myself that this is fine. And you can put yourself out there and you can be your true self. And I think sometimes when you take that step where you're like, I don't care what people say, people either get too scared to hate on you because you come across so confident, and the others just shower you with love. And I remember my promo came out and there was such overwhelming amount of love. And then I called my stylist and my makeup artist. I was like, now let's go wild. And I think this is and this is so important, right? And I think these people, we all look for validation. We all look for love, and it's not a bad thing. See, I can sit here and preach about how you should be fully confident in yourself and love yourself and all of that. But I think we all look for validation somewhere. We're all social beings. We love love. We love people saying that you look great today, and that that we love your outfit and we love your makeup and all of that. So I think sometimes when you see someone who's trying to be themselves, it doesn't take much to tell that person that I love what you're doing. It's not a big deal. I can be like a very narcissistic person and not care about like anybody else. I have that luxury, but sometimes like I love when someone is trying to do something new, to go up to them and being like, I'm proud of what you're doing. It doesn't take that much time. It takes 3 seconds or less. So just go up to people and just give them a little bit of love, and that'll only help. You'll also feel good only. You'll feel like you've done some charity today. That's not what I mean. It's a joke. So you'll feel like there'll just be a lot more positive energy in you. So it's a good thing. Is societal norms more important than feeling? See, now that's what I was saying. All of this, how do we care? We shouldn't have to care about what society is saying and what, because we have evolved so much as people. All of these, we all do this like debates between straight and gay and bi and lesbian and all the other alphabets in the LGBTQIA plus. But over the last, look at any of us, like straight or in the LGBTQIA plus community, we have gone through so many fundamental changes in our lives with technology and our clothing and the way we live our lives and our houses and our professions. We don't have to be stuck to engineer, doctor anymore. So if we can get to a point where we can be accepting of all of these changes in our lives, then in 2022, we don't have to give flying anything about any of these things. We can be very accepting now. We can be supremely chill and just look around us and just have love. I understand. I'm not saying that look around and love everything. Also be vocal about what you believe in. But when you're vocal about something that is not hurting you or harming you, then think about it. Do we have to do this? Do we have to be like a textbook representation of what old ideologies are? We need to know that people have struggled a lot to be their true selves, and it's not easy. Just think about the fact that until a few years, people who are gay couldn't have sex, and that's like, as straight people, like, have you ever thought about this? Like, this is not like, did you have to ever at any point think about the fact that, oh, when we have sex, is it legal or illegal? It is usually legal only, unless it's not consensual, obviously, right? So these are very, very simple things. And when we get to this point, like right now, you also need to know that Section 377 has gone, great, but we still live in a society where a lot of people think this, after 377, a lot of people think that now two guys can get married. But that's not true. Marriage laws are not a part of a society that we live in. In India, two guys can't get married legally. A lot of people get very surprised when I tell them that, no, I cannot get married to a person. Not that I want to, I'm very simple. If there are anybody who's interested, let me know. I'm kidding. So this is not that kind of a workshop. No, it is not, Sabha, right? It's not. Oh, it's not. Okay. I got carried away. I get carried away sometimes. But no, so like a lot of people think that, oh, now it's decriminalized. So it basically means like they can marry only. But like, when have you seen two men marry in this country? It hasn't happened. It's still like the acts are still going on. The court is still sort of deciding. It's been pushed again to, I think, a couple of months after. So we are not in that space. So like in the middle of all of the struggle, you like nobody has to be put in a position where they also have to go through heat. We can be like chill people with love and like care and affection, acceptance. And this is very interesting to me because I have so many straight friends who cry in their lives, which is phenomenal because I'm like a dramatic crying person. I like crying. I look at one person who's crying, I cry immediately. Now that does not make, I don't think I'm a real man either. I see now I have like problems from the explanation of what a real man is. Like, what does that mean? Like, are we talking about body parts? Are we talking about, macho-ness? I think anyone who's a real human being is someone who's caring, who's affectionate, who's doing something nice, who has a good heart, who's, who would give a shit about something when they're seeing something around you, who wouldn't go out of their way to put somebody else down, who would treat people with love and affection. I think that's what a real human being is. There is no problem in anything else. Like nobody has to tell you if you do a certain thing, you wouldn't be a real man. I think there is so much toxic masculinity in and around us where people ponder, why do we so much of like domestic violence and so much of like anger outbursts in both in gay men and like this is not like a straight specific thingy. I think it's all over the community, it's all over everybody. I think that's because we brought up in a certain way where we sort of told that if you do something, gay or bi or straight, whatever, you still have to be a man. I still like it's so funny where a lot of my straight friends ask me, and they sometimes come from like a educates me perspective, which is very interesting because they're like, okay, today give me lessons about this, and I'm like, okay, chapter 1 is you are bad. So they asked me this very interesting question where they're like, so who is the guy and who is the girl in this relationship? Or they ask, who is the king and who is the queen in this relationship? Because they want to look at, what they're basically trying to ask is who's the top and who's the bottom in this relationship, which is still none of your business. Because I'm not, coming into a straight person's love life and asking who's taking it in the back, right? It's none of my business. Now, they're asking, it's a question where a lot of people don't understand this. First of all, when you ask who's the guy and who's the girl in this relationship, it's extremely homophobic and people don't understand the repercussions of this because it's homophobic because you can't imagine two men in a relationship. It's gay because there are two guys there, right? There is no guy and girl. There are two boys, okay? So like the fact that you also want to look at the woman in the relationship and be like, okay, you are like the lesser thingy. This one who's the king in the relationship, even though gay, is the real deal, He will be the strong man. He's the masculine one. He's all that. That is very stupid. We need to like break down things so simple as like who's the man and woman in this relationship. There is no man and woman. There is a man and a man. There's a husband and a husband. There's a boyfriend and a boyfriend. So things that are that simple. And a lot of people also think that when you go for like a pride march, I have so many like straight friends who go to pride marches. That's because they believe in the process of bringing this marginalized community to the forefront and sort of bringing their struggles to the forefront and celebrating it with them. A lot of people think even right now that, oh, like if I have a gay friend and if I support him, that makes me sound gay. No, it doesn't make you sound gay. Your masculinity or your macho-ness is not affected by you having a gay friend. Um, there is nothing that is problematic with having a friend from a different sexual, like whose sexual orientation is different. That doesn't make your macho-ness go any low. I think that this comes from a lot of insecurity because you feel like, oh, like my friends who are very straight will not accept the fact that I have a gay friend. That's stupid, can you imagine like making friends on the basis of who they sleep with? Unless they're sleeping with children, then don't be friends with them. Put them in jail, or they're sleeping with people without consent. Then put them in jail. Also, don't be friends with them. But something as simple as this, based on who you're loving, you can't be marginalizing people on the basis of that. And that doesn't, being friends with them and being supportive and being there for them, that doesn't make you any less of a man. I think that makes you a real man. I think that's what this means. This real man business. I think that's what makes you a real man. Makes you a lot more solid and secure in who you are. It makes you a good person. I think that's what real means. Not the part where people say, "Do not cry, boys, don't cry." Please cry. It's fine. When you're in pain, let it out. Don't like bottle up to a point where like later it comes out like a gas outbreak. It shouldn't happen. Whenever you feel like, I mean, sometimes and it's okay. That doesn't mean that we break down anywhere and anywhere. It's up to you. A lot of the times because of a social structure and or like a social atmosphere, you might not feel like you can't break down at that point in time, but then break down at some point. Let it out, release it, call a friend. That's fine. None of this makes you any less of a real man or a woman. It's fine. Be who you want to be. It's fine. This is a very tricky topic for me. This Bollywood. I'm very protective of this community because all of my career has been from here. But it's also very tricky because I'm also a young gay man who's growing up and is very easily affected by what I see on the screen. We are a very cinema-driven country. Cinemas are events for us. We're getting back to that now, but then until 2 years ago, before the pandemic hit, we went to theaters with our families, or we went with our friends. We love watching movies. We're usually a first day, first show kind of people, and a lot of the times people don't understand the kind of impact that cinema can have on people and families and ideologies and education. I think the first thing that I want to say is, like, I remember watching Dostana, like when it released several years ago, because for me, it was the first time I'd heard of somebody who's actually saying like gay, like the word gay in a mainstream Hindi movie, that is directed under Dharma, and like Renil Abraham is in it, and like, Abhishek Bachchan is in it, and Priyanka Chopra is in it. And they're talking about people being gay. And I was like, oh, I need to know this. And honestly speaking, like, see, right now, I think there's a lot more education and knowledge and information in me to understand why it was problematic. At that point in time, I did. And I think that is where a lot of the explanation for the movie and justification for the movie comes from also. Because at that point in time, I felt like, oh, that is so cool that they're even talking about this. Because for me at that point in time, I was like, I don't think people talk about this. For me, it was such a big deal that on a mainstream platform, they're talking about the word gay and about people who are gay. Although they set it outside India and all of that, it doesn't happen here. But those are the problems that we see now, right? The way they're represented, the way they make fun of it, the way jokes are surrounded around that, which later leads to more people making fun of it. Those are the problems that which is why in 2022, if they try to release that movie now, it will not release easily. It will get backlash because we have changed as a community, and I'm very thankful for that. There is like, social media and the internet has led to opinions, and sometimes validly so. I know for a matter of fact that I will be so bloody infuriated if that's something that I would see on screen now. But I think we have sort of come way ahead in sort of making content about LGBTQIA plus and like, characters and that and all of that. One of my favorites ever is Kapoor and Sons with Fawaz's character. I think India had to get to a point where, because see, at the end of the day, the kind of movies that people make is a reflection of the society. It's what people usually make, what the audience want. Unlike a few, Kapoor and Sons again is a dharma mainstream movie. India today, till today, is a country where, and see, I keep saying India, but also a lot all over the world, where when someone comes out as being gay or bisexual or lesbian or transgender or whatever, it's usually dealt with a lot of drama, like where parents are like, oh my God, what has happened or whatever, usually like the like a lesser version of the Kiran Kher character in Dostana, whatever. But like it's usually like the relatives are involved and they're like, oh my God, like all of that is happening, which is what happened in a lot of movies that are associated with like gay characters or lesbian characters in India, where like the moment they come out, everyone's like dead, like suddenly like the mother is crying and the father is upset, the father has left the house and the son is just, all of that is happening. We had to get to a point where acceptance was shown, because when you're already a society that's dealing with hate around these topics, where your neighbors are going to tell you, take him out, where you're worried about what your chachu and chacha and nani in some other village will say about this. We have to see acceptance in mainstream cinema, where we see families accepting it and living with the fact that my child is gay. That's fine. I don't care. He's doing well in life. I'm proud of him anyway. We had to see that. I think like even Kapoor and Sons, while it was done very subtly, and I appreciate that about them, because it was not like a break all the utensils and cry kind of a situation. They were very subtle about the whole thing. But then I don't think acceptance was still like, it was still like an open conversation towards the end of it. Ek ladki ko dekha to aisa laga, which is the Sonam Anil Kapoor movie, is the one where you actually see an arc of this whole thing. It is quite dramatic even then, all of these mainstream movies. For me, like I'm dying to see like a movie like Call Me by Your Name on like in like India, which is literally a story about two guys in love. There is no coming out, there is no fighting, there is nobody is shocked. It's as natural as like a normal love story between a guy or a girl also. It's beautiful. It's like it's an Italian. Just if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. You must watch it. It's one of the best. As a cinema lover, it doesn't have anything to do with anybody being gay. Just for cinema, this is like a different recommendation. Just for cinema, just watch it. I think it's just important as like movie lovers to watch Call Me by Your Name. It has Timothy Chalamet, the very good-looking boy who's been doing a lot of other good work also recently. And this also, before I get into the second pointer, it says, can an openly gay actor also be a mainstream hero in Bollywood? It is so scary because, we hear about like A-listers in our country being either bisexual or gay or whatever, but they would never come out, right? Because it's a very scary space, because all of this run on image of our society. What they want their hero to be a macho man. They don't want to think about their hero, like the love of their life to be, think that the love of their life is probably in love with a man, in love with another man. So it's very difficult. Even in the West, there are very few A-listers that are actually gay and open about being gay. We are still in a position where a lot of actors, when they're doing their first projects, and they're asked to be very choosy and very particular about what they do, because that's usually sets the tone for what they get next. It's a very scary space, because it is true. It is kind of true also, because like if you do something random and it doesn't click with the public, then then your budget is going down, your career is going down, all of that. That's where a movie like Call Me by Your Name is coming in, because it is Timothy Chalamet's it's his debut, okay, where he plays an extremely sexually charged teenager who is in a gay relationship. India has so many, like Bollywood is so particular about someone's debut. where they're like, forget like a gay character. Gay character is banned for a debut. And like, look at this career where he's literally one of the biggest actors in the industry right now. And his debut was this really indie movie where he played this very sexual gay character and was nominated at the Oscars. That's the kind of, that's the kind of chances that we should take. And like, not worry about, oh, what will my fandom be if I come in a gay character in my debut? It doesn't matter. Next time you do something else, and it's fine. But I also really want to touch upon, and I think Sushant Didgikar spoke about this the other day, because a lot of trans people and gay people do not really get to be in movies because, first of all, like, we have this whole stigma around casting trans women as women in movies, because a lot of the times casting directors will be like, oh, from some angles you don't look like a woman, and of course they have transformed from being a man to a trans woman. It is not the same, you don't immediately look like Bani Kapoor from Chandigarh Kare Aashiki. It's not the same at all. And having said that, obviously very conventionally good looking trans women also, who you wouldn't even understand that they've transitioned before. But then roles are not easy, right? So first of all, you don't get the normal, like your conventional roles. Second of all, we get into a space where the trans roles in movies are also given to cisgender straight people. Now, I have no problem from the perspective of a cisgender actor who wants to try out different things. I'm coming from the perspective of a new movie that's releasing called Gangubai Kathiawadi, where Vijay Raj is doing the character of a transgender in a Sanjay Leela Bansali movie of that magnitude, right? Now, this is the same movie director who had a Jim Saraf, who's a straight cisgender man in Padmavat, play a bisexual guy. Now we have a transgender role. Now, I have different opinions on this. For example, if we look at a Chandigarh Kare Aashiki, they wanted a very conventionally good-looking female lead, where they took a Bani Kapoor because they had to sort of appeal to a mass audience and sort of bring in this idea through like a mainstream slight, like a little bit comedy kind of space. They wanted that, fair enough. It's not okay, but I'm still willing to debate with this. But in a movie like Gangubai, where the lead actress is playing a prostitute, a sex worker, then you have a transgender who clearly looks like a man because it's Vijay Raj, right? Then to rob that from a trans actor is messed up. I'm all for Vijay Raj as an actor to have a career-defining performance where, his resume will say also played a transgender role. And very well, I'm sure he's a phenomenal actor. I have nothing against him. But I think I don't think people even like test actors for this, trans actors. That is very messed up. I mean, you should read up on this. It's extremely cruel. There's a round table that transgender actors does. It's on YouTube. And it's very sad, the stories, there are so many good actors that I know in India who are trans and are just not given the opportunities because, it just go to bettering the resume of a cisgender straight actor. And good for them, but like sometimes you need to open up. And there are times when you see like some of the directors or production houses that are led by people of the LGBTQ plus community and doing nothing. I don't have the liberty of taking names here, but then like there are times you see like directors and producers being like a part of the community and doing nothing for them. In movies where you can sort of cast, if you have a transgender role, bloody cast a transgender actor. Set the principle, you can change the whole thing by that. In a mainstream huge cinema, if you can cast a transgender actor and sort of set the precedent, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, but I think all of us can do better. Especially, but I think Bollywood is trying though. I think the whole industry is sort of coming together in being a lot more sensitive. There you will not see any insensitive representation of anybody from the community anymore. Not that I know of. There will obviously be somewhere here and there in the big movies, but then whatever. But then I don't think we can get away with that anymore. Earlier you could say something funny that you think is a part of the community and fully get away with it, but you can do that anymore. I think that's something that we've done. As people, we've sort of put us in a place where we cannot say random things and get away with it. So I like that. It's a good start for me. It's not the best, but I'm here for it anyway. Okay, how can we do better? I sort of spoke about recognize and acknowledge. I think, like I said before, I think it's as simple as just like going there and saying something nice. It's fine. You're not losing anything. You're not becoming any less straight. It's just only love. It's only something kind. Otherwise, if you can't do either of these, don't do anything. It's fine. Just let it go. Very simple. Also, something a lot of people don't understand is because when the whole Section 377 debate was going on, a lot of straight people was like, we will not support, like, no, we don't want this. But you don't understand that Section 377 was not just about like gay people. It was also about you guys. I want you to know this because Section 377 meant you can't do anything unnatural. Okay, that's the law, which basically meant, now according to them, unnatural is also like 2 men together, 2 women together, 1, 2, all that. Now, according to Section 377, you cannot have oral sex also. Straight people loving anal, not that either. I think threesomes were also banned only because I think that was also unnatural. Yes, I think so. So all of your fun as straight people was illegal, but they just didn't give a shit because of the privilege. They just looked at 2 men and 2 women. That's all. So when you saw us fighting your battle for you also, what you should have done is been like, thank you, so that we can go back to doing fun things in bed or outside, wherever. So just no, be informed better. And this is supremely funny to me because a lot of the times when people say, oh my God, my gay best friend, and I'm like, what? And I think it's a very usual thing because, and I don't think a lot of people find a problem in that because, if I'm someone's best friend, what does it have anything to do with me being gay? Like I'm just someone's best friend, right? Why does my sexuality precede what my relationship with you is, as a friend? Does anything. And I think it's a very stupid thing for people to say. And a lot of people do this where they're like, oh my God, my gay best friend, meet my gay best friend. You must meet them again. Stop. It's just your best friend. I have been told by an ex-friend of mine who I was a gay best friend to. And she was like, I just couldn't have any straight best friends because they would always hit on me. And I was like, you are very confident that, the next time you will have a straight best friend again, they will hit on you for sure. Good for you. You I'm best friends with because I know you will never hit on me. How do you know? Maybe I will decide one day. Not that I will. I'm very, very aware of my sexuality. This is a joke. But your friendship cannot only be based on the fact that I'm not going to hit on you. That's not, and that's literally what the first word is. Like, the gay best friend, gay basically means we're just 2 girls, I can change in front of him. I don't want to see you change. First of all, stop changing in front of me. It's fine. It's not comfortable to anybody. Just because I'm gay, that doesn't mean that I want to see all of this. It's fine. Please go inside or I'll step out or ask me to, and none of this sort of changes anything. So stop. just best friends. And it's not a big thing. It's not a big thing. It's not like a groundbreaking change that you should make in your life. But then if you can, it would be nice. And also, a lot of people don't understand that if I ask people, if you're a part of the LGBTQIA plus community, they're like, no, we are very straight. We are, we have nothing to do with it. But a lot of people don't know that the A in LGBTQIA plus, along with being asexual and all of that, also stands for an ally. Ally is someone who stands in support and solidarity for your friends who are a part of the community. So as a straight man or a woman, you can also be proudly a part of the LGBTQ community as an ally. And just, you should very proudly say that I'm a part of the community as an ally, and I'm very happy about it. And I stand in full support. These are very, very simple things. It's not very hectic. We have not done any groundbreaking research today. These are very, very simple things in our life that can sort of make us happy, make people around us happy, and also just realize that it's bloody 2022. We have so many other things to care about in life, that someone else's love life and their sex life is not our business. Unless you are a gay best friend, then if you're a best friend and their love life can be your business, that's fine. But other than that, I don't think you should care at all. I think you should just shower people with love. These are not lives that have been very easy. It's been marginalized. It's been difficult. These are not easy conversations to have. So after having done all of that, they don't need another person to put them down again. Okay, so if you can be a nice person, be a nice person. Otherwise, just don't say anything. That's all I'm concluding this with. Congratulations on my conversion therapy. You're all gay now.